Using the flow state to eat less. 5 simple steps. The flow state is usually brought up when we talk about masters of different activities. The flow state is that state that masters find themselves in as a result of their mastery and engagement. If you were to ask a master pianist how they do what they do, you'll find out that when they play the piano, they lose control of their body and lose sense of time. Their consciousness dissolves into the act of playing the piano. The flow state isn't just reserved for masters, though. We can feel the flow state in everyday life. If you pay attention, you'll realize that there's a pattern to what leads us to flow. Typically, it takes a clearly defined goal, an understanding of how that goal fits into an overall vision you have, a worthy challenge, and a supreme focus and determination. So how does this relate to eating less? I've discussed this a few times before, but we live in an era of excess food. Mix this excess in with overall discontent with our daily lives, and you get boredom eating. You might think, I only eat when I'm hungry. However, I would challenge most people on that notion. When you do enough fasting, you realize that your distinction between boredom and hunger is very blurry. We usually eat when we're bored, not hungry. How do we solve this? The flow state. There are plenty of people out there who are blessed with the ability to sink straight into the activities that they take part in. They perceive time as moving by quickly, so quickly that they need to be reminded to eat. So how can we learn to leverage this flow state to help us eat less? I'll go over that below. Step 1. Know what you want in life. You'd be surprised to find out that most people haven't thought about this very much. This overall vision for what we want in our lives is what I think of as the foundation for our actions in day-to-day life. It's unfortunate that even people in their later stages in life are still confused. It's like waking up every day with a single arrow, being asked to get a bullseye, but never even investigating where the target is. Instead, the arrow is wasted on a random shot. The vision should be changing over time. By no means should we be getting attached to one vision. That would be counterproductive. The first step to achieving this flow state is to define our purpose, our why. Without this, we'd aimlessly be wasting energy every day, and we'd wonder why we can't find contentment. This behavior feeds into aimless eating also. So as a first step, I would recommend sitting down and getting clear on what makes us who we are. Once we've established an understanding of who we are, then we can get clear on why, and finally we can get clear on our overall life vision. I've really liked the way that author Simon Sinek goes about defining his why. He likes to structure it in the following way. It's a statement that reads as, to blank, so that blank. Draft something for yourself based on what makes you tick. Once we have this drafted, we have a clearer grasp on our life vision, and we can move to step 2. Step 2. Clearly define your goals. The next step is to clearly define your goals and to understand exactly how they fit into your purpose. If we're going to define goals, they need to be aligned with our overall vision of who we are, and we need to be convinced that the goals are truly helping us achieve this vision. In some cases, we might find that what we're already doing is helping us to achieve our new goal. If this is the case, then we would approach our activities with a newfound enthusiasm and energy. If not, then we'd have to adjust what we do to put us more in line with our goals. Imagine your vision as a large puzzle that you haven't put together yet. The first step to putting it together is to understand the shape of each piece and to understand how it fits into the bigger picture. These puzzle pieces are your goals. The goal needs to be formulated properly to fit with the other goals, and it needs to lend itself to the overall bigger picture. Step 3. Once we have a list of goals, we'll have an easier time differentiating between the things in our life that are essential and the things in our life that are distractions. When we know what the distinctions are, we can begin to clear our external, physical, and internal mental space to have the most room to effectively accomplish our goals. Even though we might have cleared our environment of distractions, it might still be hard to follow through on our actual work. If this is the case, it's likely because our goals aren't small enough. In this case, we need to break our goals down into smaller chunks that don't feel like as much of a jump, but are still just enough that they challenge us. Less distractions plus challenging yet attainable goals equals mental stimulation and productivity. Step 4. Keep the goals a challenge. If the challenge is too large, we don't do anything. If the challenge is too small, we get bored. Typically, a challenge should be just beyond what we feel we're capable of achieving. Having a challenge like this keeps us engaged in what we're doing, but doesn't discourage us from continuing to push. To accomplish this, after we compose our overall vision and list our goals, we may need to refine those goals in order to make sure that they challenge us just enough. You don't want a goal which doesn't slightly intimidate you, and you don't want a goal that intimidates you too much. 1% better every day should become your mantra. If we are 1% better every day, it means that we've achieved a goal that was slightly beyond what we thought we were capable of the day before. Step 5. Determination and a growth mindset. With a growth mindset comes the understanding that losing doesn't exist if we learn. This should be the underlying understanding in everything that we attempt to do. If you look at life with this lens, you no longer need grit. Difficult situations become favorable because they have the potential to teach us. On top of that, if we go in wanting to learn, we would learn even more. So imagine how much our life could be transformed with this mindset. No matter how mundane the challenges we run into would be, we would have the determination to learn and grow despite them. How does this help us eat less? I've formulated these steps to help us find the flow state and combat overeating. Some people think that brute force discipline is all that we need to eat less. I disagree. I don't believe that a lack of discipline is the root cause of our overeating habits. Discipline helps, but it doesn't get us where we want to go. The root cause is a lack of interest in our day-to-day activities. We are so bored and full of discontent that we use food to fill a hole. I'm a strong believer that what you do in your life is not important as understanding why you do it. Having a solid understanding of why helps to pave the road to a more successful and engaged completion of the things that we do. If we know our purpose, we paint a clear vision for our lives. Having a clear vision allows us to see how far away we are from that reality. Understanding this gap can help us to begin listing our goals, and with the right amount of challenge and focus, we'll be drawn in and engaged. With engagement and determination comes the flow state. When we reach our flow state, eating reclaims its intended role to keep us alive and healthy. We start eating to live, not living to eat. If we don't know what it means to live, we won't ever find our flow state and will become comfortable living to eat. If we find our flow state, we'll ride the wave of challenges and triumphs that this life has to give us, and we'll discover new potential. Thanks for listening to this article. If you enjoyed it, you can find more like it at www.banafit.com. That's www.banafit.com.